Live, everyone.
Ready?
Yep, we live.
Okay. Hello, greetings, city of South Fulton. We want to, let me adjust this mic here up a little bit. All right, once again, greetings, residents of the city of South Fulton. Welcome to Code of Compliance, Power of Compliance. We want to thank all of you for coming to join us today. It's great to have community involvement, community engagement, and that's what this is about. We want to engage with the community, bring you out, let you see what we do, ask questions, get a response. I want to say that this is not a lecture. This is not meant to be a one-sided event where we sit up here and we preach to you and we tell you what we do. This is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from the residents. We want to know what we do well. We want to know what we don't do so well, right? So we can correct it and we can better provide service to you. That's why we're here today. We want to make this a fun-filled, interactive day. And so we want to thank everybody that came here today just to join us. Please give a round of applause to the code enforcement staff that helped to put this event together today. Led by Manager Paul Muhammad kind of came to us with this idea to bring this back, where we could bring in public works, police, fire, animal control, all these different entities, public works, that affect what you do every day, that directly are impacted by your tax dollars. And you may have some questions for us that you want to know. So this is a free-for-all session. The only thing that we ask, and I'll be very brief because we're running just a little bit behind, we just want to keep the questions are open. We just want to keep them respectful. We want to keep the atmosphere respectful. We're here to answer the tough questions. We're not going to run and hide from any questions. So we're here to engage with you. Let's just keep the atmosphere respectful, and let's keep it fun, and let's keep it interactive. And again, we want to thank you all for coming here today and joining us. So before we get started with the introductions of this panel, I want to thank you all for coming to join us as well, taking time out of your day on this Thursday. I'd like to introduce, we always want to give honor to our elected officials and our leaders that help navigate through this city and guide us and lead us. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Mayor Khalil. Mayor Khalil, if you would come join us, sir. Give a round of applause.
Good evening, I'm taking this off. Good evening. Thank you all so much for coming out. We are, of course, here in Atlanta's new Twin Cities, South Fulton, Georgia. We are live in the Southwest Arts Center here at 915 New Hope Road 30331. And we are also, as you heard, streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please, 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 if you know someone that is not here, but probably should be here, if you hear some really great information, this is going to be on our City of South Fulton's YouTube page. Please copy it, like it, share it. If you're streaming live now, we want you to use the hashtag South Fulton and the hashtag Power of Compliance. Once again, I want to give a round of applause not only to our code enforcement department, but to all of our departments, police, fire, parks, economic development, public works, and we have the Fulton County Animal Control, so they're through the county. As you heard, this was an initiative that was created by our staff, right? We have some of the most amazing, dedicated staff in all of the metro area. And again, the purpose of this, right? We are a brand new city. We share zip codes with Atlanta and College Park, Union City, who else? Fairburn, Palmetto. So a lot of people, a lot of your neighbors don't know that they're in the city of South Fulton. A lot of you might still be writing other cities on your addresses, and you may be going to the wrong places or getting the wrong information from the wrong municipalities. Each municipality is different, and we want to make sure that everyone here knows how we do business in the city of South Fulton, and we also want to hear from you about how we should be doing business or things that we can improve. As the director, Brian Moore, said, this is an interactive session. So I'm going to get out of the way We're so glad that you're here. We want to make sure that you know about all of the incredible events that we have happening throughout the city of South Fulton. Easter is coming up, and we have wonderful spring extravaganzas on every side of the city. We're going to be having the first ever Earth Day parade in all of the metro area on Old National. So here's how you stay in touch with us in the city of South Fulton and find out about all of these incredible events. Everyone take out your phones, take out your phones, take out your phones. You're going to text the word Fulton, F-U-L-T-O-N, to 33777. So again, you text the number 33777, 2 3s, 3 7s. And the word you're going to text is Fulton, F-U-L-T-O-N. That will sign you up for my newsletter as well as mobile alerts about all of the incredible events that we are having here in our city. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our amazing staff. Thank you all so much for coming out. South Fulton forever.
Okay, so now we're just gonna, just briefly, so we can get to the question and answer portion, just briefly give introductions of the staff. Again, I'm Brian Morris, Director of Code Enforcement for the City of South Fulton.
Good evening, I'm Donna Dendler. I'm the Chief Fire Marshal from the South Fulton Fire Rescue Department.
I'm Tanard Turner, the Director of Paws, Recreation and Cultural Affairs.
Good evening, my name is Artie Jones, and I'm the Economic Development Director with the City of South Fulton.
Good evening, I'm Gwen Gardner, and I'm the Administrator for the Solid Waste Division of Public Works.
Good evening, my name is Moussan Francois. I'm the Program Manager for Public Works.
Good evening and happy Thursday, everyone. I am Latricia Mosley. I am the Development Services Manager for Community Development and Regulatory Affairs.
I'm Will Adams, I'm with the Land Development Department, CDRA.
And good evening. I am Carrie Stevens, the Case Manager for Municipal Court.
And I'm Paul Muhammad, one of the managers for Code Enforcement, City of South Fulton. And here's my co-host, Desiree Moody. So what we want to do is an exercise. Let's give everyone a rousing round of applause. I want you to clap like you mean it. Come on, man. I know y'all can do better than that. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get the blood percolating in here. But we're going to dive right into our questions. We got a few questions of our own that we're going to ask the panel just to get your thoughts rolling and moving. Our first question is to our courts, all right? So put on your seatbelts. All right, to our courts. How does the school cameras policies work? And who can we call if we want to pay fines?
When it comes to school zone citations, when you want to pay those citations are handled by a third-party vendor, which is called Blue Line. Those are the people that you will contact. I will give you that number at my table if you need it. And what was the other part of that question, I'm sorry?
The second part of it is who can we call if we want to pay fines? The first part, how do the school cameras policies work? When people ride through and they say 25 miles an hour.
Okay, so the way the school zone cameras work is school zone, the flashing lights light up an hour before school and an hour after school. The zones or the speed limit comes in effect when school starts, when it ends, also during school. Sometimes most people get the ticket and they argue that school was in session. When school is in session, that speed limit does count. The flashing light lets you know that school is ending and school is beginning. But do keep in mind that that may change if there are after-school activities.
All right, can we get a question from our audience? All right, we got a question. Let's get the mic.
Time times that the flashing lights are on when school is not in service, such as spring break or Christmas break holidays? Is there a plan for that?
Sorry, your question was the lights still flash when school is not in?
Yes, ma'am.
That is usually enforced by the school, so that we will have to contact the school and let them know that that light is still flashing, or the police department, let them know that that light is still flashing at that time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else in our audience? We'll be running.
So let me just be clear, the speed limit is always 25 miles an hour, even if the light is not flashing, and school is in session, but the light is not flashing. So is it always 25 miles an hour in a school zone?
It is always 25 when school is in session and when the lights are flashing. Yes.
All right. Who else we got tonight? Oh, we got a young man with a question. Come on.
How much is the fine?
The school zone fine start, your first citation is $100. Every citation after that is $150.
Oh, wow, you got some money. That's why he asked that question. All right, our next question is for code enforcement. How does code deal with rooming houses? What is the code's role in preventing illegal signs from littering the streets? So we'll go with that first question first. How does code enforcement deal with rooming houses?
Okay, so, anybody hear me? No. Can you hear me? How's that? Okay. So the first one is a tough question, so I appreciate that very much, Bob. You put me in the hot seat. Rooming houses are illegal in the city of South Fulton. You cannot operate a rooming house per the ordinance. There are only certain areas where you can, but certainly in no residential area can you, by law, operate a rooming house. There are some caveats. So the way that the law is tricky, right? Because what people tend to do is they find loopholes in the law. And oftentimes, the regulatory folks like us, like police, like fire, we're catching up. So I'll give you an example, is when short-term rentals or Airbnbs came into existence, guess what? There was no law against a short-term rental. There was no regulation against that because it didn't exist. So people come with different policies and different ways to skirt the law. So we do have some issues with some new models of rooming houses that we have to deal with. We're working with that right now. The important takeaway, I think, is that we need to, in most cases, we can see a violation from the street, right? We can see your tall grass, we can see your abandoned vehicle. Proving a rooming house is difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. We rely heavily on our partners in fire and police because sometimes they get that call and say, hey, we have a fight here or we have a fire here. And when they get inside, they notice that you have 20 people living in a 3-bedroom house. And that's how we'll use our partnership to get that issue addressed. So if you have any, I would say to the residents, if you have any suspected rooming houses, please let us know because we're forming a task force along with fire and with PD to address it, to first identify all rooming houses in the city and then strategically address those rooming houses in a very aggressive way because it leads to more trash, it leads to more just different violations that we see on a regular basis. And what was the second question, sir?
The second question is, what's code enforcement's role in preventing illegal signs from littering the streets?
Okay, so that's one of my pet peeves. That's one of our team's pet peeves is that we want to make the city a no-fly zone for illegal signs. So these are we buy junk vehicles, we buy abandoned houses, we buy ugly houses, you've seen them. You want to fix your roof, you want to do this, and they're on every single corner. So in response to citizens' complaints, in response to council complaints, we made a decision about a year ago that we were going to aggressively attack those signs. And so one of the things we did, we formed a committee called a Sign Sting, which is an acronym that stands for Sign Trouble Is Now Gone. And what that does is we have different techniques. We work with police, we work with different entities to pose as customers and basically set them up, right? And we charge up to $1,000 a sign. So we're very aggressive because those signs tend to multiply in the city. It looks bad when you come into a city. We just have junk, signs, trash. So we want to do our part to aggressively set that standard and just make South Fulton a no-fly zone for foolishness like that.
I have a question. My name is Helen Vance, and I live in the Old National East. And it seems as if our community is being taken over by pad split. And these are those rooming houses where it's a 3-bedroom house and then they turn it into a 6-bedroom house and they're renting the rooms for $200 a week. And so you have 3 and 4 trash buckets on the curb 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so this gets reported on a continuous basis. And it's almost like playing whack-a-mole. It's reported, the code enforcement officer comes out, has a discussion, or maybe the private equity firm that owns this property will pay the fine, and then we start all over again. We have to make it financially unfeasible for these owners of these properties to continue to not play by the rules. So the question is, for these habitual offenders of code enforcement policies, which are the private equity firms which own these homes, what are we doing? Because the residents in my community, we don't see a sustainable solution.
Ms. Vance, thank you. First of all, thank you for coming out and thank you for that question. That's a tough question, y'all. That's what we're here to do. Now, for several reasons, I won't mention or identify any specific entity, right? I won't call out any specific entity, but there is a certain model that not just in the city of South Fulton, but in the state of Georgia, as you correctly mentioned, these are heavily financed, highly funded entities that have millions and millions of dollars, which in turn means they have high-paid lawyers. And the lawyers do what lawyers do. So with some of these particular companies, you have different entities around, different municipalities around the state that are trying to figure that question out. What is the sustainable solution? Because we can find one day, we can heavily fine that entity, and they can come back and do it again the next day. And we run into that. It's frustrating for the residents. It's certainly frustrating for us. And what I can say is that proactively, we have, I mentioned before, the Booming House Task Force, which includes some of those entities that shall not be named, that we are actively addressing. And specifically what that means is partnering with fire, partnering with our legal department, with CDRA and the police department, among others, because it's a multi-departmental effort that it's going to take. And I won't sit here and lie to you and say we'll have to fix next week. I promise you that I would not do that. But what I will promise is that we are diligently working on that and working on a sustainable long-term solution. And we have made some progress in certain instances, but as you mentioned, it is a bit like whack-a-mole when you have these opportunities to pop up. And I'll just say this one more thing, is that you mentioned something about their business model, or the business model of a rooming house, where you take 10 bedrooms and you rent them out $200, $250 a week, right? If we do the quick math, in 1 month, that's $1,000 per room. And you have 10 rooms, so you're making $10,000 per month on a 3-bedroom house. That's a lucrative business that a lot of people want to follow that model and don't mind a slap on the wrist from us, right? A couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. So we do have to make a more sustainable effort, and we're open to all options to try to get that done, but we are trying.
Okay, this is my last comment, and this is what concerns me the most. These houses have 3 and 4 trash buckets. June 1st, we're supposed to be getting 1 trash bucket per house from the city. No more waste management or whoever you may have picking up your trash. So how is the community gonna deal with 1 trash bucket for a house with 10 people in it? We already have the issue with trash overflowing from 4 buckets and 4 buckets being left on the street. But we're gonna get 1 trash bucket per house.
And so now that's a step out, and somebody from Public Works would like to address the trash issue. Somebody here said, okay, Ms. Gigi can kind of speak to that as far as how that transition will go.
Okay, starting June 1, we will be going with the new waste provider that will be Waste Pro. Each house will receive 1 container, but if you need additional containers, they will cost $10.17 per container, and you can get as many as you need. And if you have any questions, we are set up in the lobby. You can stop by and we have the flyer to let you know the additional information that will go along with your waste service.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I have a question, and it goes along with young lady, as far as an ordinance standpoint. Do we have a direction that we're looking at to address these pad splits or whoever, that particular business model? Because do we have something that we're thinking of in that direction so that we can kind of prevent that? I mean, we are playing catch up, but from that perspective, that's one question. The second one is the Parks and Recs. Are we gonna get that pool open over there at Westmont? Because I got a grandson who wants to get his football.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So in reference to the, I'm assuming you're talking about the Westmont pool?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So in terms of the pool, we're actually scheduled to open around August, September. I think they're in the process of putting the slide in. There was a major renovation to that particular pool. Of course, it's been there about 25 years. So we're scheduled to be open in September, August. So hopefully we'll get going during that time.
I think we got it right. So, all right, so as the gentleman in the back, asked a question about the ordinance, which is a fair question as far as that business model that we're discussing, right? The rooming house business model. It's in legal talks right now. So yes, we are looking at some creative ways. Not just here, we're looking at different case law around the state. And without going too deep into the legal weeds, you want to make sure that your case law is good before you establish an ordinance that may or may not be enforceable. So we are looking to learn from what other jurisdictions are doing with that particular business model. And we want to see what's effective and model our enforcement or our ordinance based upon what's successful in those other jurisdictions.
Hello everyone, Jane Williams. And my question, I guess, is for Public Works. So when it comes to the streets being repaired, cleaned, what's that process? Because over at Fairwood and on Flat Shoulder Road, we've been complaining about the road at 29 and Fairwood, that we cannot get this hole fixed. So we want to know what's the process, and that's been going on now for over a year. They came out to repair the hole, but they repaired it with something that was not suitable because the very next day it had rained out or whatever, so it's not fixed, and the big hole is still there. And people run into the hole and damage their vehicles, and I think by some law they can report that to the city of South Fulton and maybe get their money back. But, so what is that process? And also on Flat Shoals Road, there's where they come in and make some kind of repair or maybe dig for something. And when they repair the road, it's not fixed. So then you got to either try to dodge that and go over to another lane, or you got to go over here. So I just want to know what's the process of having roads repaired?
And again, good evening. My name is Toussaint Francois. I'm the program manager. Really, the process really started with Cyclifix. Once you put that information into Cyclifix, then once we receive that information, we will dispatch the crew to take a look at it. Now, when you see a pothole, they are currently, for example, what we did about 4 years ago, we assessed every single road in South Fulton. Currently, we are in the process of doing the same thing. So, and very soon we're going to issue a notice to proceed to resurface a lot of road in South Fulton. So what we do is whenever we receive a call or a Cyclifix, we dispatch the crew to take a look at it. Some roads can be fixed easily. Some of them, the situation is so bad that we have to resurface it, or we have to do what we call a deep base repair. So it takes time. What I would suggest you do, if you have a road that you think is in very bad condition, number one, once you put it in Cyclifix, feel free to give us a call. We'll tell you whether that road is on the list to be repaved completely. Because very soon we're about to issue a notice to proceed to resurface a lot of roads. And Fairwood, if I recall correctly, that was done not too long ago, because we currently have a project on Fairwood at Morning Creek and further down, which is Benchmark. So there might be some issues there, but the first step, I strongly encourage you to put it in Cyclifix, and we will take a look at it and we will address it.
Okay, sir. I understand Cyclifix very well.
Yes, sir.
I do a lot of code enforcement with Cyclifix, and they respond. And but we can't get any response from Public Works with Cyclifix. And like I said, this has been going on for over a year, and we keep putting it on Cyclifix. Now, I can go through my emails and find out how many times we have sent this report in for Cyclifix. Now, on Flat Shoals Road, I've only put it in once. And we have some clogged drains that have been put in twice. Now, the seniors, the elderly, called me to put it on Cyclifix because they don't know how to do Cyclifix. So I have the documentation for Cyclifix. Now, I just want to know, when is it going to be repaired?
Ma'am, let's do this. After the meeting, I'll be happy to give you my email address, phone number, so you can call me directly, or if you want to, I can call you directly tomorrow morning, and let's have it resolved. So now, next time, you know that you have somebody you're talking to, so you don't even have to use Cyclifix anymore, since you already put it in Cyclifix. I will personally give you my phone number, so you can call me, and you and I can have a conversation and have it resolved.
I would appreciate that, because even when we go on City of South Fulton website, Public Works, a direct person, you can't reach them. There's no number for Venezuela or no one. So I would appreciate having a number, and I will make sure that the ladies know that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Katrina Plater. So since we're at Public Works, I did want to ask a couple of questions about the trash. So you're going to pick up trash every week, and then what about recycling and bulk trash?
Okay, the recycling will be done at Burke Miles if you're familiar with that address, and if not, I have the information at our table in the lobby. And you will have the bulk pickup done once monthly, and we will also give you that information to let you know what zone you will be in as far as how they will do the zoning to be picked up for the bulk trash.
So how often is the recycling?
The recycling goes to Burger Mile.
And you go there every day?
It's a recycling facility. They're open every day except for Wednesdays.
Okay, so the last question I have for you guys is the payment. Now, I understand that you are trying to have, I guess, the county to bill us, is that correct?
Yes, it will be an annual bill.
So, let's say that your property is vacant for a while, for whatever reason, maybe it's a rental or whatever, okay? You still have to pay that bill anyway, even though nobody's picking up your trash?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, for code enforcement. Now, I understand that there is a program in which, I don't know if this is code enforcement, I guess it is, but you have volunteers to come out and help seniors with cutting the grass and things of that nature?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a program that's called Code Cares. And so what that is that we go through a process for those that meet certain criteria that just cannot afford to get their housing compliance and get their certain minor repairs done. You know, simple things such as lawn care and minor repairs. We go through a process and we evaluate it, and if we can help, then we will have our volunteers and our community members that volunteer with us. We certainly will come out. So we actually have a table set up after we're done here. We have a Code Cares table where anybody can find out more information about that. It's geared primarily towards senior citizens and veterans. That's what we primarily gear that program towards. So we have a table set up in the back once we're done here, so y'all are welcome to find out a little bit more about the program.
Do you know about how long that process takes?
Well, it just depends because it's a volunteer process, so it's not something that is necessarily heavily funded or funded at all at this point. So it's something that we do as we partner with our community partners, right? Hardware stores and local volunteer organizations as well as our staff. So we're working with very limited resources. And you know, the reason why we did it is that as we would see, as we were going through our enforcement, we would see certain properties and just people are having hardships, and we wanted to be able to help. So, you know, I put that out there to say that we're not working with a truckload of resources, but we do the best with what we have. So it is a process. It may not be quick, but we do serve as resources allow.
Okay, so I have a comment. I had called City of South Fulton to try to find out about the program, and they didn't know what I was talking about. Okay, so it wasn't until I got in touch with my council person and she got in touch with me. But whoever is answering the phones should know what's going on with the city, and that's just a suggestion to try to make that happen. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. At this time, we got some people in our viewing audience online that has tons of questions, so I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, the beautiful Desiree.
Thank you, Paul. So from Facebook Live, we have a question. We're going to start with Public Works. They said about giving them more options to buy more trash cans. Is that condoning the rooming houses?
Repeat the last part of the question.
For allowing homeowners to purchase more trash cans, is that condoning the rooming houses?
No, we are absolutely not condoning the rooming houses. It's only for people that pay taxes. Homeowners are responsible for the trash cans. It's not condoning the rooming houses at all.
And this question is for anybody on the panel. The road inside Forest Creek was on phase 1 of the SPLOST, and it was never done. However, the company was using that area to store their equipment. They would like to know why the phase isn't complete and why they use that area for storage.
Excuse me, can you repeat the name of the subdivision?
Forest Creek.
I currently don't have the list with me, but I'd be happy to get an answer tomorrow. Is that okay? If it doesn't need to report this, who do I report to if we need to?
So let's do this. For any questions? So for any questions that we can't answer today, let's make a list, and what we'll do is we will compile that list of questions and just work among staff to get that list put out there. So we'll have a way, we'll put that on the code enforcement website, and it'll be up within a couple of days. So we'll have a list of any questions that we can't quite get to today. We'll compile that list and we'll get those answers and post those online, or you can call us if you want to call us in at 470-809-7700.
Yes.
Yes, so call us at that number and we can provide you with those questions that we couldn't get answered here today.
Got one over here.
I have one more, I do apologize. I'm not sure if anyone on this panel can answer this question, but we do have a few questions on Facebook Live, and they're trying to figure out why their taxes are going up.
Is there a tax consultant in the house? Oh, yes, yes. We have our illustrious Councilwoman Royal.
Thank you. The city council, once a year, we set the millage rates, which sets the tax for that fiscal year. We have not increased your taxes. Your property values are increasing. It's not unique just to the city of Southwood. It's occurring all across the state and the nation. As you know, we have a housing shortage, so the value of your properties are increasing.
All right. Now we, yes, ma'am.
So I want to add to that, because this is also what keeps me up at night. The house across the street from where I live in Old National East is currently under contract for $369,000. A year ago, the house across the street sold for $239,000. We're not at $200,000. So once again, this is the private equities coming in and purchasing these houses and driving up the property values. So I can't get excited about my taxes going up because my property value is going up, because it's artificially inflated based on these private equity firms overpaying for property.
Thank you. All right, now we got a question for our police department.
Chris Foreman, I was just wondering, is there a neighborhood watch association set up and signed, and that's part of the question. The other part is, who would we email or speak to if we want to pay for clothes? And just to tag on that, I had an incident with a bit of a mini stroke, and I just want to say that everyone is doing great, from the police department responding, the fire department, just wanted to let you know, not to be that guy, but you know, you appreciate it, love what you guys are doing, but just curious about neighborhood watch, and who we speak to about it, patrols, and Ms. Rowe, you're doing great too, so that's everybody.
All right, the question was, is there any information on our neighborhood watches? Or are there any neighborhood watches to our police department? Anyone from our police department speaking to that?
I wasn't going to speak for what I feel. For the Neighborhood Watch Program, our community policing supervision, Captain Cottington and her staff sets up those. I believe she has 2 officers here that can assist with that. If you want a extra change control, you can put it in C-Clip Fix or on our website as an opportunity to put in extra change controls as well.
Okay, so I'm Sergeant Gibbons with the Community Police and Park Rangers Division. He was asking about neighborhood watches, right? Okay, take down my city cell phone number. Y'all better get this number now. 404-979-4569. All right, so that's my city cell phone number. So I'm responsible, along with Captain Hattie Cobb-Toots, for going out to the HOAs to assist you guys with setting up neighborhood watches. So give me a call and 404-979-4569. 404-979-4569. So I'm responsible for going out to the HOAs to assist with setting up the neighborhood watches, and that includes setting up the block captains, just show you guys how to actually do that and actually make it effective. So if you give me a call, we can schedule an appointment and come out to the HOAs, or do it on Teams, on a Zoom meeting, and we can take care of it.
Okay, great. Jane Williams again. So I have a couple of questions from my seniors. So who does the city plan to purchase a vacuum truck to help keep the storm drains clean from clogging up the leaves and debris? Also, who cleans out the sewer drain line? And who cleans and maintains the retention ponds?
Now, the first half of the question, the department purchased 2 street sweepers late last year, around December, and they are currently in service. I'm not too familiar with the schedule, but in addition to that, we have a company, Brightview, that does the right-of-way maintenance. On a 2-week rotation, every 2 weeks, they make sure they go down the street to make sure all the drains are clean, all the storm drains, and so on and so forth. So it is being maintained as we speak.
Okay, so now we haven't seen any sweeper trucks on Flatshaw Road or Fairwood. Like you said, they have a schedule, maybe they're behind. So I just want to make note of that.
Before you move on, I just want to say street sweepers are used on roads that have curb and gutter. So if there's no curb and gutter, you won't see a street sweeper.
Okay, so no curb. Okay, good. Okay, so on the street that I'm talking about that's clogged, and I have a picture of it, so I'll show you that later. But these streets are clogged with leaves on here in the storm drain. So I sent this twice. The last time I sent it was February the 3rd.
Okay.
And it has not been dealt with yet. So just want to put that.
And again, I have good news for you. I'll be happy to meet with you after this meeting so that you can have somebody to talk to in Public Works.
So yes, everyone, just for FYI, if you want detailed information about specific projects, all our panelists will be available after this is over with so that you can really get your question answered, okay? So thank you for that, appreciate that. Desiree, take it away.
I actually want to switch it up a little bit before we go over there. I have a question for CDRA. Can you please explain to us, what is erosion?
That's a very broad question. Erosion is when sediment leaves a certain site over several different ways, by air, fire, water, and it just washes away over time. So to let people know, if you're saying that you got erosion and you got a new house, there's no way that can happen. It happens over time. Erosion is not a tomorrow situation. It happens over time. So when you see, like, a lot of people call about drainage issues from new and old subdivisions. The older subdivisions, that's been going on. There's no way it could happen like overnight. New subdivisions that have not yet had a time to germinate and have ground cover, that could possibly happen. But the older neighborhoods, this has been going on. There's no way you didn't know this was happening. There's no way. But that's erosion in a nutshell. So when you moving of sediment from one place to the next. Sediment is dirt.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Haynes, and my question is for animal control.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the first part of my question, what are the broad regulations that dog owners should follow for their outside dog? And what responsibility do they have to their neighbors?
So within Fulton County, first, all dogs over the age of 4 months must be vaccinated against rabies and also have a Fulton County license. That license is obtained either through our website, or you can obtain that through going to the actual shelter at 860 Marietta Boulevard. Along with that, if a dog is contained outside, which means that it lives outside, that dog must have a dog house, a proper dog house, which means that during the winter months, must have a door flap as well as a floor and and straw, to go inside the dog house. And means of confinement of that dog either must be in a 10 by 10 kennel, or they can be housed on a dog runner. A dog runner is different than a dog tether, which a lot of people actually get that misconstrued. So what a dog runner is it's pretty much a pulley system where a dog is able to move in a 10 by 10 fashion. So it must be 10 feet across, as well as 10 feet at 10 foot length of the leash or whatever may be connected to that animal. If it's a tether means that it is like structurally sound to one object and one object only, which means that if an animal's on there, it would be more susceptible to wrap around there than versus if it's on a runner, it gives it a lot more motion for that dog to be able to run free. Also, dogs are not allowed to run loose within Fulton County. That is considered as a dog at large. So if you do have a dog that is running loose, you may report that. I'm not sure what your second question was, excuse me.
I didn't get to it actually.
Okay.
So I live in the city of South Fulton, so should I call the city of South Fulton when we have a very aggressive dog in our community, or do we call Fulton County?
So the city of South Fulton is actually dispatched through Fulton County Emergency Services, which is also the same individuals that dispatch animal services. So if there is a call in reference to a dog, typically what happens is the city of South Fulton dispatcher would dispatch the police immediately, and the police will either determine if it's an immediate public safety concern where they can respond to if they have units available, or if they dispatch it directly to us. Typically, it is usually typically dispatched to us unless, like I said, it's an immediate threat at that very moment, and they have police available.
Okay, so after this meeting, do you have a table out in the hallway as well? Because I have some other questions.
Yes, ma'am, we'll have a table set up.
Thank you.
I have a question for that. There's a rumor going around that the dog kennels are full. Is that true?
That is correct. So that's across the country, worldwide.
Unfortunately, I don't know if you know or not, but our shelter here in Fulton County was built in 1970. Our shelter was held as a holding facility with that current contractor then, and it can hold only 80 animals. Currently, right now, our shelters is seeing over 400 animals within our care, which is extremely drastic. It's not only a safety concern for our staff, but it's also a safety concern for other animals, just because of the amount of, situations involving other dogs as well as illness. So we're asking for a huge plea for individuals to come in and adopt. Rather they have family members that live outside the area, you don't have to be a Fulton County resident to adopt, but we're asking that everyone please adopt if they can, and if they're able to, just to help us out. We will have a new shelter that is built sometime, it's in the process of being built, and it'll be built hopefully by the end of this year, but that still will not stop the trend, the way that the animal population is superseding. Our neighboring jurisdictions, when they built their shelters, they had just enough kennels for their population then, and then they're now overcrowding, and honestly the same situation will happen with us, so we have to keep going and working with our community partners to ensure that, we're having responsible breeding, as well as having dogs properly contained with all their necessities that they need within the ordinance.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you. Our next question will go to economic development. Any economic development projects that the residents should be excited about? Are there any economic development projects that the residents of the city of South Fulton should be excited about? How do you develop partnerships and encourage the developers to come to the city? It's a two-fold question.
Okay, there are a number of projects around the city of South Fulton that will be coming up soon. There's a new Chick-fil-A that will be coming up in the city of South Fulton. There is a new Valvoline that will be coming to Old National Highway. There's several restaurants that I cannot name that will be coming to but there's a new Starbucks that's coming out to District number 1. I'm sorry, number 2, excuse me. 1, I'm sorry, District number 1. There is a new Popeyes that just opened up also. My goal in the city of South Fulton is to be able to bring amenities. We have a lot of residents here. We have probably over 3,000 homes, both single family and multi-family, that have been permitted. So if you look at 2 people in each home, that's 6,000 people that will be here in the next 3 to 5 years. But one thing we do lack here is, amenities, restaurants, shops, places to buy clothing. A lot of our tax dollars are supporting the other communities around us, and I'm looking to try to turn that around. We have several nice mixed-use developments that are coming up in the city of South Fulton. I'm focusing a lot of my attention, the economic development attention, in those areas that are probably the lower performing, those areas where developments are coming up organically by developers. I'm letting those continue to move forward. I'm focusing a lot of attention on Old National Highway, a lot of redevelopment activity in that area. I'm also focusing attention in the Red Oak area that is, a slower area, but it has a great deal of potential because it has a lot of property that's undeveloped. But yeah, there's a lot to be excited about in the city of South Fulton. Please be patient. I'm going to, within the Economic Development Office, I'm about to have a lot of programming in our new office that's located at 6385 Old National Highway, Suite 210. It's located beside Edit Shoes. I'm going to have a lot of programming that's going to be geared towards business people, those that want to be in business, and also there will be programs that will be geared towards youth that are considering wanting to go into business into the future also. We're going to start a Toastmasters program also, so that Toastmasters is something that you can always utilize. You always need to know how to communicate regardless of the setting that you're in. I think that these are all good things to have, skills to have when you're trying to go into business. But there's a lot of great stuff that's going on. That's kind of a loaded question. If you'd like additional information on the economic development projects that are going on in the city of South Fulton, or if you're looking at a specific part of South Fulton, as far as economic development activities, please don't hesitate to contact my office. My information is available on the website. Again, this is Artie Jones from the Economic Development Department.
Thank you, Artie. Thank you. Yes, sir. Got a question for you, Artie.
Good evening, I'm Pamela McAlvin, and I live in Eden Pines homeowners, I live in Eden Pines subdivision. I want to know why your focus is so much on Old National Highway.
My philosophy in economic development, I've been doing this for 25 years now, almost 25 years, is to identify in the city, find out those areas that are the most underperforming areas as far as economic development. Old National Highway had its heydays. There were some great restaurants there, shops, there was a lot of great apartment complexes, there's a lot of great homes there now, still. But when I've done my initial evaluation of the city of South Fulton, I feel that if I can strengthen the weakest link within a community economically underperforming, that it would strengthen the entire city. So one of my strategies whenever I go in is try to address low-hanging fruit as far as things that I can improve immediately as far as economic development. That gives the community a sense of accomplishment, that things are moving in a different direction. I have more longer-term goals in certain areas also to bring major developments, but also within the Old National Highway area, there is a huge potential because that is a major corridor. There's a lot of traffic that goes back and forth through that area. There are a lot of people in the Old National area that don't shop there. They'll go to Fayette County. They will go to Clayton County.
Likewise with where I live. I
Yes.
live in Road, but I taught off Old National Highway.
Yes, ma'am.
I taught at the Fulton Elementary. How well do you know the people who actually live in that area? How well do you know those families? Because I can tell you all about it. It's a transient area. It's a lot of Section 8. They come and they go. So why would you focus so much effort and energy at this time on Old National when there are other communities who are equally in need? We can have a private conversation to the side, but I really would like to know that.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to answer you in private. I can answer you publicly here in this. One thing about economic development and one thing about my staff also, there's myself and there's 3 other people. As much as we would like to do economic development in all 94 square miles at the same time, we cannot do that. So what I do is I focus my attention in those areas where I could have some success. And just because I work on economic development in one part of the city doesn't necessarily mean that people from other parts of the city won't go and patronize those areas. I believe that a rising tide floats all boats. And the thing is that if there's a priority, if there's something that I don't know about the community, my number hasn't changed, my email hasn't changed, I have an open door policy. Anyone who wants to come in to try to educate me, to try to show me other areas, other things that I may be missing, I'm an open book. I don't know it all, and I would like to get to know the people in the community, and it's not about trying to work in the areas where there are transients or anything. If they're a resident, they're a resident. I don't look at renters any different than I look at homeowners. I respect all people.
I'll take you up on that. And I'll
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. All right, we got about 10 more minutes before we're gonna do a kind of hard stop because we do have a food truck outside as well. What we want you to do, if you don't get your question answered tonight, write your question down, come to the tables outside and ask those questions at those tables so that they can write it down, put your contact information, and we're gonna make sure that we get to you, all right? Our next question is for the fire department. When does that burn ban take effect and how is it enforced? Does fire play a role in inspecting businesses in the city for safety requirements?
The burn ban will begin at the end of April, and it lasts until October. And even with the burn ban on, there are no permitted burns except for, there's one exception, and that is agriculture. We play a large role into inspections of any burns that are conducted within the city. There is a burn that is allowed for construction. It is required to have a burn permit. The cost of that permit is $500, and it is a pit which is surrounded by an air curtain destructor, and that will be the only permitted burn during a burn ban. And it is due to construction and economic development to allow those to at least have the opportunity to continue the build. We cannot interfere with that. Residents are not required to have during a permit during the no burn ban anymore, as was passed by the state of Georgia. You are only allowed to burn small piles of leaves and twigs no greater than 3 by 5 feet in size, and you must have a water source. You're welcome to call the fire marshal's office to let us know. And if there is any issues, such as a neighbor who does not like or enjoy their neighbor burning, and they want them not to burn, the only way to cease and desist that is if they actually have a declared medical problem in which they would submit paperwork for to disallow their neighbor to burn. We have a very progressive inspection program of every business, mercantile, and industrial area in the city of South Fulton. We completed almost 1,800 inspections last year. We continue to progress with that. I have a great team. Most of my team have triple duties. They are charged with fire safety education into your school systems, which there are 21 schools. We are inspectors for every business, including every school. And we are investigators of every structural fire that is conducted. I have a wonderful team, well educated, and we are here to serve. The fire department, along with each and every department in the city, has to grow with our city. So as we develop new things, we're there from the ground up. Some of our big projects include every subdivision as the subdivision is being laid out. And please remember, this is for someone who asked about the sewer systems and those things. That is owned by Fulton County. And there's a lot of cooperative effort when we go to develop projects. There is not a project that fire has not been a part of except for residential, which we do not have authority over except for when we're laying out subdivisions to ensure emergency access and egress for the residents. But if you need any information about fire, my office number is 470-809-7553. I have a team of members here also can answer questions, and we're more than happy to not just be educators. We do home safety inspections. We also provide each citizen, upon request, 2 smoke alarms for their homes, and we will gladly do a home safety inspection at that time. We will take names and an email address if you want to give them to us tonight, and we can make arrangements for someone to install. So not only are we a very progressive community risk reduction fire department, but we are also a very progressive response department. We are the 911 call. We receive those calls, and each and every one of our responses are within hopefully less than 5 minutes. We are aspiring to be a better ISO rating. We are currently a 3, but we are striving for a new review, which will hopefully provide the homeowners a lower insurance rating. I know someone mentioned the property values of their home and the taxes, and yes, spending money is hard. But don't miss the opportunity when your tax bill comes that you have an opportunity to appeal your taxes also. But we look forward to making a better community, growing with the community, and providing the services that you need. And I appreciate the gentleman who we obviously responded to on a medical call, and we will continue to always be there and serve.
Thank you. All right, we got another question for building and permits. What is the turnaround time for a basic permit, fence, roof, minor repair? Why is obtaining permits before beginning to build an important first step? Building and permits. What's the turnaround time for a basic permit for a fence, roof, or minor repair?
Good evening again. The basic turnaround time for, the turnaround time for basic permits such as roofing, fencing, well, those are two different types of permits. For roofing, the turnaround time is about 48 business hours, as long as we have all the necessary credentials. For a basic placement shed, that's also maybe 48 business hours. But a shed that may require structural inspections, the review time for that permit is 10 business days. And that's because that particular permit has to go through a planner review, a building review, as well as an erosion review.
And why is obtaining a permit before beginning to build an important first step?
It is important to obtain a permit prior to building or proceeding with any type of construction, because we want to make sure that our reviewers and inspectors actually review the documents. Also, the inspectors need some type of renderings to compare the work that's being built to make sure it's compliant with current codes.
All right. Thank you. Any more questions from our audience before we wind on down? Go ahead.
Let's get Parks and Rec in on, we got a question for
Parks and Rec, yes sir. We got one for Parks and Rec. What are some programs for seniors, children that may be ongoing or upcoming? Are there any facility updates that are available for the residents?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So in terms of updates, I'll start off with Cliffordale. We are in the process of demolition in terms of the Cliffordale Community Center, hopefully within the next 6 or 7 months. I'm going to start there because the plan is we had an after-school program that ran in the Cliffordale area for years, and I do feel like we abandoned that community. So my plan is to make that community at Hanson Park. We will put a walking trail out there, dog park, exercise equipment for seniors that want to come out and work out. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that. Wilkinsonville Park, they have the exercise equipment. We want seniors to be able to go out and walk in the park, use the exercise equipment. We also plan on putting a dog park, just being observant going out to that community. I noticed there's a lot of dog owners, and I'm a dog owner myself, so I feel like that would benefit that specific area in terms of building a dog park. Other updates in terms of Sandtown Park, of course, Sandtown Park has been down for quite some time. We just did mold remediation. We're still in the process of doing the floor, doing some painting and things of that nature. The plan is to have that facility open at some time in the latter part of the year. I've already started to develop some programs that are going to come out that building. I'm also in partnership, trying to form a partnership with the Hawks to bring a neighborhood State Farm room, such as the one that's in Waccamaw Park. We want to make sure we have that available for those kids in that district as well. Any other updates? In terms of senior programs, of course, we have our normal programs, Zumba, we have Bridge Club. Once the pool is open, of course, we have water aerobics for seniors. Reno and his staff do a great job with the seniors, working with the seniors in the pool. So we have a number of new programs, new initiatives, not just in terms of athletics and sports, also workforce development and things of that nature. So hopefully that answers your question.
Sir, excellent, excellent. All right, at this time, we're gonna wind it on down, but this is only the beginning. Yes. You got another question? Okay. This is only the beginning while we're waiting on the mic. So how many of y'all like to keep this going? How many of y'all like to keep this going and think this is important for our community? All right, so this is only the beginning. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Parks and Recreation. I'm sitting here trying to remember the exact date, but we had a holiday a few weeks ago, and the city was closed, of course, but the park was also closed. We usually go to Trammell Crow Park, and it was very disappointing because I had my 5-year-old grandson with me, but the gate was locked. I just could not understand if it's a state or national holiday and the children are at home with the families, why couldn't we go out and enjoy the park? Even though it is a break for the residents, if it needs to be cleaned, they can clean it the day after the holiday. But it was very disappointing to go up to Trammell Crow and we couldn't enjoy the park.
Sure. Do you remember the holiday that was, ma'am?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I don't want to say it was the King holiday. I did call my commissioner about it because I was really upset about it. But this is March, so it must have been.
Was it the King holiday? You think, perhaps?
Okay, for the sake of this discussion, let's say it was the King holiday.
Sure.
But I went up there, and even though the rest, you all, the city, the staff had a vacation, yes.
Sure.
But the children were at home with us, and we wanted to enjoy the park. And it was a beautiful day, but we couldn't get in because it was locked.
Sure, so I'm not sure. What we do want to do, we have teacher work days where the schools are down and holidays and things of that nature. One of the things that we do want to do is keep our parks open. Let me just say that first and foremost. So I'm not sure what holiday it is, but what I will do is, if there is any time that the parks are closed during any holidays, my deputy director, Tony Jordan, is down here. Please feel free to get his number and call him directly on that particular day. He works 24 hours a day. He doesn't do anything anyway. So call him on that day and we'll try to address those issues, because the parks, we do close the parks down, of course, in the late afternoons, in the evenings and things of that nature. But on those days, the parks still should be open. But he'll give you his information and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
All right. We'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight on behalf of our director and our department, the great Mr. Brian Morris. Let's give him and each of our panelists a round of applause. Also, you, the great citizens of the city of South Fulton, we have some treats for you tonight. We have free popcorn. We have free ices for the children. And we have our mascot for code enforcement. We have a mascot, y'all. We're doing big things. You see Cody in the back. Come on down, Cody. So this is the mascot for code enforcement for the city of South Fulton. His name is Cody. This is not, that was not the last time. This is the first time, but not the last time that you'll see our mascot.
Cody,
and we ask that you patronize our food truck on the outside as you exit. Stop by the tables, get you some food, and let's talk about it. So we're going to be coming to every district in the city of South Fulton, so be patient with us. This is our first time getting this power of compliance back started, but it's going to be ongoing because we feel it is necessary. And our mantra in code enforcement is education before citation. So this is our effort to educate the public on what we do and give you an opportunity to let your voice be heard. So thank you, thank you. We're going to turn it over to our director for one last. Let's go get something to eat, y'all.